Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with Shazad Khan and Maha Mukhtim on PTV World this morning. Assalamu alaikum Shazad, how are you today?
Wa alaikum assalam, Maha, and I think that I am perfectly doing fine, but it's just that, today is a very important day.
Yes.
And I truly feel that we need to do justice with it by disseminating information to all of those other people who might not even have an idea how it feels when your right of self-determination is taken away.
Absolutely. So we have a very important show for you today. We are observing with our Kashmiri brothers, we will be observing Black Day, and it is in solidarity with them because there's a lot of atrocities happening across the world, but we have some within our countries and in our neighboring countries. And we've seen the atrocities, we've seen the horror acts that are being happening, but it's not about the blame game here. It's very obvious the international community, the watchdogs have seen who is to blame, who are the perpetrators of all these atrocities. But we're going to get to the facts. We're going to get to what can we do? What can we do to help our Kashmiri brethren to self-determination, right? Right to self-determination.
And Maha, other than atrocities, I think when we talk about Kashmir, it's been 70 or more years that they have been going through these atrocities. Generations and generations are actually suffering. And I think we need to put an end to all of this. UN resolutions even being passed, but then we do not see any change within that region of the world.
I think the UN resolutions are used according to the whims of the international, the specific countries, to benefit themselves and actually not looking at, we have the same thing going on in Israel with the illegal settlements. We have the same thing happening with Kashmir. But we're going to try and keep our emotions in control today.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do. Yeah. But let's move on towards our top stories, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
So top stories coming up. Good morning.
And world over are observing Black Day today to mark the illegal occupation of Jammu and Kashmir by India on 27th October 1947.
President Mamnoon Hussain and Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan have paid homage to the sacrifices of Kashmiri brethren in occupied Kashmir.
U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson urged Myanmar's army chief to help end the violence in Rakhine state that has forced hundreds of thousands of Rohingya Muslims to flee.
Amid beating drums, the whistle of an ancient flute and an artillery salute, Thailand began an elaborate cremation ceremony steeped in ancient rites for revered late king.
Medium pacer Hassan Ali finished with a career-best bowling to once again anchor Pakistan's convincing 7-wicket win over Sri Lanka in the first 2020 in Abu Dhabi.
And time now for a public service message, and Maha will do the honors today.
Okay, so today the public service message is in line with everything that's happening across the world, next to our borders and our neighboring borders. It's our rights as citizens, and it's our responsibility as citizens to raise voices for people who may not be getting the adequate justice system, adequate security, people are mistreating them. It's about using our own voices and making sure it's heard, because the power is within the people, and once we unify, we can put pressures on the right systems to make our lives better and more secure.
Exactly, Maha, very beautifully said, and I think I'm going to elaborate over what you just said, because it is not just necessary that you have to think so big that you will probably give a right of self-determination to an entire nation. But for example, let's start from your homes, where you have so many other people working with you. You might deprive them of their choices, you might deprive them of what they want to do. So please make sure that you stand against injustices within your society first, and then let's move on towards a bigger goal.
Exactly, and don't let anyone tell you that, oh, relax, what can you do about it? Because you can do something about it. And if people try to brush it aside by you being irrational or emotional or aggressive, if it's something right, then you must stand up for it.
Exactly. And now moving on towards the Black Day, ladies and gentlemen, the worldwide, every other Kashmiri, every other Pakistani is observing a Black Day on both sides of the line of border as well. And it's because of the fact that when, for example, we go back in 27th of October in 1947, when India forcefully took over Kashmir, Jammu Kashmir. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to quote the Nation over here. You can probably pick up the newspaper as well, the articles over the internet. Now, what they say within that article is that all of those princely states were actually given the right to accede to whichever side they want, either Pakistan or India. Now, for example, talking about Hyderabad and Junagadh, which were princely states and they were Hindu majorities, they decided to move alongside India. But now when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, the Maharaja wrongfully took a decision to probably accede to India, and then forcefully India actually came in when the Muslim majority said that they really didn't want it to be a part of India.
Yeah, basically the right of self-determination was
Yes,
taken
was
away
taken
by
away.
the leader.
And other than that, what India did was that they took the matter to the UN. UN passed 2 resolutions earlier in those years as well. And well, so far, we have seen that the atrocities are just increasing, pellet guns being used, people being abused and whatnot. How are we going to end this? How do we find a solution? Because even the PMLN government, when they went to represent within the United Nations as well, and they made a point that, you know, we probably need to help Kashmir, and the UN resolutions are not working.
Okay, so and to discuss all of this, what is the way forward? How can we honor and pay tribute to all the martyrs that have given up their lives in order to get the self-determination? We've been joined by some wonderful guests in the studio. We're going to talk about the facts and the way forward.
So on my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we have got the executive member of all parties Hurriyat Conference, none other than Mr. Advocate Parvez Ahmed. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for joining us. Alongside Mr. Parvez Ahmed, we have been joined by Executive Director, Youth Forum for Kashmir, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Ms. Maria Iqbal Thurana. Hello, assalamu alaikum, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us. Well, it is definitely not a day to talk with smiles as well, but before we start in, or probably indulge in a conversation, we need to share a small report with all of those people who are out there. Let's take a look.
October 27, 1947 is remembered as the day when India forcibly took over the land of Kashmir. Kashmir is a long-standing dispute between Pakistan and India, which originated when the people of Jammu and Kashmir were denied the right of self-determination in 1947. When India and Pakistan became independent on August 1947, it was generally assumed that Kashmir, as an adjoining state with a predominantly Muslim population, would accede to Pakistan. Its ruler, the Maharaja, however, on October 27, 1947, acceded to India through an improper and illegal instrument of accession, and on the same day, India winged its forces to Srinagar and occupied the valley. It is for this reason that Kashmiris and supporters of Kashmir commemorate this day every year as a Black Day. It is the darkest day in the history of Kashmir, as Kashmiris were sold to India regardless of the Indian Independence Act and the partition plan. Kashmiris are subjected to unprecedented persecution, oppression and unending tyranny. Indian armed forces adopted draconian methods to commit gross violation of human rights in occupied Kashmir. The silence of world community over Kashmiris' plight has put its credibility under serious questions. India have shattered the sanctity of UN resolutions to let the Kashmiris decide their fate according to their wish and will. Every year on 27 October, the people of Pakistan come forward to demonstrate solidarity with the Kashmiris in their fight against brutal forces to achieve independence and freedom from worst occupation in human history. The banners, posters and placards have been put on show on various major roads and streets of Pakistan, especially Rawalpindi and Islamabad, to support Kashmir cause and observe Black Day.
So that was a report telling you about the history and what's happening and the slow progression of it. But now we're going to go for a short break, and when you come back, we will start our conversations with our very important guest. Stay tuned.
Good morning.
Welcome back, everyone. And today, this morning, we are observing Black Day in solidarity with our Kashmiri brethren who the illegal occupation of 1947 in October. And Shahzad has the first question.
All right, so moving on with our conversation, Mr. Pervez Ahmed, what I want to ask over here is, first of all, how do you see the importance of such a day where, on both sides of the border, people are making those chains so that the message goes across to the outer world as well, that we are standing in solidarity with our Kashmiri brethren as well. This is the first thing which I would love to ask.
Thank you very much. First of all, I will give you the brief historical background so that it will be very easy for us to understand the importance of 27th. First of all, before the partition of this subcontinent, on 19th of July 1947, the Muslim Conference, that was the only political organization in Indian occupied Kashmir, passed a resolution that when the subcontinent will be partitioned, it will accede to the state of Pakistan.
Yeah.
And as per the partition plan, as you earlier discussed, that 525 princely states were given the option either to join Indian domain or to Pakistan. But at the state of in Jammu and Kashmir was under the suzerainty of Britishers, but it was not under the direct rule of Britishers. So we can say, in a way, it was almost an independent state. What happened when this resolution was passed? The Maharaja smelled that if the right to self-determination is granted to the people of Jammu and Kashmir, they have already showed their mind that they are going to join to the Pakistan. Unfortunately, on 27th, he acceded to the Indian domain, and even that document of accession is disputed. If we see, there is a historian and a researcher, Alastair Lamb, who has in a categorical term said that there has been no accession at all. There is no document of accession existing anywhere in the archives of India. So what happened that on 27th, when this so-called accession took place, the Indian forces landed in Srinagar airport, and they formally occupied the Indian state, occupied Jammu and Kashmir.
Oh, thank you very much for saying that. So does that really mean that all of those accession documentation is forged by India too?
No, yeah, of course, because so far if we see the historians, what has been written so far, there is no document of this accession, and it has not been shown to international community or world at large. Nothing is knowing where this document of accession is at this time, because we have last few months back, there was a case in the Supreme Court of India about Article 370 and Article 35. There was a statement from the Indian authorities that we don't have that accession document in our archives, and it is missing. The file is missing. So there in what we can say, that document of accession does not exist anywhere. It is a fake document.
Okay, so now let's move on to Maria. The significance now, in 2017. What does it mean to you, and why should we be observing it, and why is it important that we continue highlighting this?
If you look at the calendar of the year, it's the 300th day, 27th of October is. So, today we are observing it as a Black Day for the last 70 years. Why? Because first, our right as a human being is a right to live.
Okay.
On the day of 27th of October 1947, that right was taken away.
Right.
And if you look at the 70 years, yes, as Advocate Saab has also already mentioned and have told our viewers about the history, I won't go into that, but in 2017, as you say, as we are living in a dot-com era, and we are a dot-com generation. If you look at July 2016, whatever started with the ballot bullets, they victimized so many Kashmiris actually. They've taken the right to live away from them. And every year it happens, but it doesn't get an international media attention.
Okay, now tell us, you say every year it happens. What happens every year? Like, what is happening? Tell us what's happening.
Yes, You see, if you look at the incident, what happened, they martyred Burhan Wani, and that's the youth who has taken this revolution in their hands now, because they are the worst victims. When you're young, you know you have a right to live, then you have a right, freedom of expression, you have a freedom of speech, you have a freedom of assembly. But all these rights, when you're growing up, look at you and me, we have grown up in a very friendly environment. We knew our rights. When we go to school, we are safe. But Kashmiri youth, they don't feel it, because mothers, they know when their children will go to school, either they will return or not. They are already prepared, and they've been prepared for the last 70 years for this. And that's the worst reality. India says they are the largest democracy on the planet, but what largest democracy is being doing to the children?
Exactly.
Have you seen how many children they have blinded? And we are living in a dot-com era. I am focusing on this word because we always say we have a social media access, we have a media access, we have so many newspapers. Actually, in the past we didn't have access to the media.
Exactly.
But look, today if something happens now, within seconds it can spread across the world. But how actually India has taken their liberty as well, liberty to express. They do ban sometimes internet in Kashmir as well, and for the days, for the weeks, for the months, we don't know which reality, because it's happening every day. And if something happens, Kashmiri collectively, they join against, they raise their voices. India doesn't like it, and it's not only the Indian government, it's always, as we already have said, judiciary has already have tried to change the constitution of Kashmir as well, the constitution of India as well, which gives the impunity to India that they can do whatever they want.
We will definitely talk about
That's
that.
not a democratic move,
but
is it?
before we move on to that, obviously the pain and grief is there, and to me, I assure you that the entire Pakistanis all across the globe stand united with the Kashmiri brethren as well. Now, what I want to talk about is that, okay, so what they did was they forcefully came in, took over, and that's what they're doing. So they're keeping up with their atrocities anyways. And when you say that, we are living in a dot-com era, that means that the global world is actually going blind too, because they do not want to pay homage to all of what is happening. For example, we talk about Myanmar, we talk about Syria, this is what's happening, global, all of those people are not really, they're not just interested.
Kashmir.
But now, taking up forcefully and then going to the UN Security Council back in 1948 when the 1st of January, a UN resolution was passed. Then same year, I think it was 13th of August when another resolution was passed. What are they doing with these resolutions? Because whenever there's something wrong with India, they want to talk about UN resolutions. But now when it's about Kashmir, why aren't they probably going through that?
Thank you. These resolutions have its importance. We shouldn't say that these resolutions does not make any impact. It has its importance because this is the base, and these resolutions give you the procedure that how you can decide the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir. What I'm going to talk, the problem is with India, there is a lack of political will. Otherwise, there is an international pressure. We have been seeing that at the Human Rights Council, at the UN. There is a discussion throughout the world, and when those American envoys come here or move to India, of course, they are discussing the Kashmir issue. What I said, that's a lack of political will on the part of India. We have, I'm just talking one thing. That 2 days back, India has nominated an interlocutor for Kashmir. It is Dinesh Sharma. He is a retired OIB officer. And he has been asked to interact with the leadership. Unfortunately, when we have seen his first statement, he said that he's going to talk to everybody. What is just nonsense? First of all, we have to see who is the stakeholder. If we have seen the previous elections, in the parliamentary elections, there have been 7% votes in favor of India and 93% boycotted on the call of the All-Party Hurriyat Conference, which represents the aspirations of the people of Jammu and Kashmir. When he is saying that I'm going to talk every Tom and Jerry, I don't understand that where are the intentions, what are the intentions. Secondly, If there are three parties to the dispute, there is Kashmiris, Pakistan, and India. I don't understand that what is the fun of talking to the Kashmiris and neglecting and ignoring one party, that is state of Pakistan, because we have seen for the past 70 years, we have been observing that there has been bilateral dialogue between India and Pakistan multiple times, no results. There have been dialogue between Kashmiris and India. In 2002, there was a ceasefire announced by one Abdul Majidar, who was representing at that time Hizbul Mujahideen. Nothing forward. Then in 2004, there was a dialogue between Vajpayee government and the fair members of the All Parties Hurriyat Conference. Nothing came out. If the Hurriyat Conference chairman, All Parties Hurriyat Conference chairman, Sayyid Ali Gilani has already made it clear to Indians that let them recognize the dispute of Jammu and Kashmir, let them withdraw the black laws, and let them withdraw the free portion of the army, and then there will be a conducive atmosphere for the talks. But India wants to make a confusion to the international community that they are engaged with the people of Jammu and Kashmir. By that engagement, they want to create a gulf between the Kashmiris and the Pakistan, but unfortunately, India doesn't know that the heartbeats of the people of Jammu and Kashmir are beating with the people of Pakistan.
Exactly. And thank you very much for saying that, because at this point of time, we do have dedication for all our Kashmiri brethren who are out there and have been ready to sacrifice their lives so just to be with us and to protect their own families. So let's go ahead, let's take a listen, and when you guys are going to come back, I also want to know the agendas or probably the thought processes of the political parties within
And I also
Jammu and
want
Kashmir.
to, highlight the fact that, these atrocities are taking place, but the kind of questioning and the doubts that the media, the digital era, and also the media outlets are creating, which is really unfair because so many people are losing their lives, and it is our duty as reporters, as journalists, as hosts, as news anchors, whatever, to get the facts out.
And
So-
it is on their shoulders.
So let's go look at the dedication, and when you come back, we'll continue the conversation.
Let's visit heaven, a heaven whose next generation will be blind. Come, let's visit Kashmir. This is the future generation of Kashmir, laying on hospital beds, blinded. A weapon called pellet gun is blinding the people of Kashmir, mostly teens and children. Young teens have lost their hopes. They see no future now. Who were these rebels, and who did this to them? Is demanding freedom a crime? Every victim thinks. They too had seen dreams, but now their life is dark. The pellets have pierced their eyes, leaving them in despair. Not able to see the world, they are suffering mental agony and pain. With their families shattered, hopes lost, and wet eyes, they're scared to face the world because the oppressors may catch them. The children have lost their childhood, their fantasies. Their mothers are wailing, sitting beside them in hospital beds. These blooming buds will unfortunately have to live a life of misery. The dwellers of heaven are bearing the pain that of hell. But Almighty, no one can suppress these rebellions. Every second hour, pellets rupture and I hear. More than 664 people are hit in the eyes since the uprising and are still counting. This is the heaven Kashmir, yelling out to the world. When cruelty makes flow blood streams, O people, thou shalt witness and tell. It can withstand even an ocean of screams when heaven is turned into a living hell.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम 27 अक्टूबर 1947 को भारतीय फौजें रियासत जम्मू और कश्मीर में दाखिल हुई और उस दिन से उन्होंने उस पे नाजायज़ कब्ज़ा जमा रखा है। इस भारतीय ग़ासबाना कब्ज़े के ख़िलाफ़ और वहाँ पे होने वाले मज़ालिम के ख़िलाफ़ कश्मीरी दुनिया के हर कोने में जहाँ भी कश्मीरी बसते हैं वहाँ वो 27 अक्टूबर को यौम स्याह के तौर पर मनाते हैं। हर साल की तरह कश्मीर काउंसिल EU भी इस साल इंडियन एम्बेसी के सामने 27 अक्टूबर को 3 बजे मुजाहरे का एहतमाम किया है। तमाम आज़ादी पसंद लोगों से, तमाम कश्मीरियों से, तमाम पाकिस्तानी कम्युनिटी से अपील की जाती है कि वो इस मुजाहरे में भरपूर शिरकत करें और कश्मीरियों के साथ यकजहती का इजहार करें।
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and this was a small dedication to share with all of those other people who probably just intentionally do not want to look towards such images because they feel as if that, they're feeling nauseatic or it's bad or it's wrong. Imagine what is actually happening with all of those people who go or suffer through these pains. Even when we talk about pellet guns, which they say is a legal weapon to control the crowd. Imagine, for example, one small thing or just a single hair going in your eye and you just cannot even sleep with that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. But now let's continue the conversation. We were talking about the UN resolutions. We spoke about how they are important and they're being used in order to highlight the injustice that's being carried out. But with that, UN wanted to send watchdogs, right?
Yeah.
Pakistan allowed them to come through and have a look. India refused. Let's just highlight that because, Pakistan is always getting the blame for things.
Yeah.
So they allowed these watchdogs to international, with the agenda to protect the Kashmiris and the people. So Pakistan said yes. India said no. Now, first of all, where's the uproar about India saying no? Because if Pakistan had done that, sanctions, I'm sure lots of political pressure would be put on them. That's number one. And number two, all these people that are saying that, well, is it true? Maybe that we are hyping it up. Pakistan has its own intentions. So what do you say to the naysayers out there?
Yeah, Maha, it's been almost a year since United Nations Human Rights Fact-Finding Commission has requested India and Pakistan both to give them access to both of the parts of Kashmir. But India is constantly denying because they know once they will allow anybody to enter into Kashmir, everybody has been going to the same situation. Everybody has lost somebody in their house. Everybody is a victim of brutal force of India. And once they will give access, so they won't have a choice.
When people are saying
living
these
in
things.
when people are actually I am born and brought up in Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Even internationally, whenever I have traveled, people have asked me, what do you feel? Because they call Azad Jammu and Kashmir as a Pakistan administrative Kashmir, so they think Pakistan is also having a hold, but it's not true. They must know Azad Jammu and Kashmir is an independent state. It has its own constitution. We don't have a constitution or any amendment like draconian laws which India has imposed in Kashmir. First law is Armed Force Power Safety Act, which takes the impunity to live actually, which gives the impunity to India, their forces to take this right of to live away. And the second draconian law is the Public Safety Act. You can take anybody and everybody anytime without announcing it, or
These
they
are the
just
Indian laws. Azad
The-
Jammu and
the-
Kashmir. I just want to
the-
clarify that for the
yeah,
international
it's
community.
India has imposed
Jammu and
Public
Kashmir.
Safety Act, Public Safety Act, and Armed Force Power Safety Act. On other hand, in this part where I was born and brought up, there is no law, no draconian laws or nothing. We brought up in a very independent or in a freedom. So we have never an idea what's been happening, because that was always, our families were connected to their families on the other hand. But what we witnessed actually when we were growing up in 90s, we saw many people from coming from line of control and the other part, because they were sick and tired of this brutal forces. They didn't have a right to live, so they wanted to make their children or their generation's life better, so they migrated to the other end. In those days, we have not access to the media or to the social websites. So whatever the history or whatever happened in those times, mass rape, I would not forget to mention Kunan Poshpora incident. It has never happened anywhere in the world, that in one night, in few hours, around 70 to 80 women of these two villages were raped by Indian forces. That was the 23rd of February 1991, and after exactly 25 years, few women, courageous daughters of Kashmir, they stood up because India wanted this chapter to be closed, but they stood up with their sisters. They went to judiciary, they challenged that law, they said that no, and they wrote a book on that. Do you remember Kunan Poshpora? And that book and another book I would not forget, Structure of Violence, which is also written by Khurram Parvez. He is a resident of Kashmir. He's a Kashmiri human rights activist. He has written 800 pages, Structure of Violence, which India also can't challenge because it is authentic document which gives a proof. He has collected it from 200 different police stations, forced disappearances, killings, mass rapes.
Okay.
And yeah.
So and now the latest thing is what we're reading about is these mystery men with knives attacking women and chopping off their braids.
Yeah.
In Kashmir, they're targeting women and chopping off their hair.
The world is saying that is a rumor, but I say in conflict territory, you call everything a rumor, but you know what? The victims are real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and
they have to
victims are
go,
real.
they have to go through this trauma for rest of their life, and it's not easy being a woman. We are both women here, sitting here. If say something happens to us, how would we retaliate?
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
now I think, well, talking about retaliation, what you have done for the Kashmiri brethren, I think I want to pay homage to that as well, because you were born in Azad Kashmir, and even then you felt the pain of their sacrifices. You, and at Burhan Wani Chowk, you've been standing all by yourself in commemoration to all of what was happening on both sides of the border as well. Why do you think there was a need for a person like you, and it is just to educate the masses out there, to stand up on every alternate or probably for 26 consecutive Fridays and raise your concerns?
Because I was traveling across the world as well, so it was a question which was keep coming back to me. Being a Kashmiri, what you've been doing for Kashmir, and as a young child, it was always in my mind that what's actually we have been doing, and I witnessed 90s revolution as well. So when this happened last year, I remember it in 2008, in 2010, it was a bloody summers for Kashmiris again. 120 youth were killed in 2010, and nobody actually raised a voice across the world. I was also abroad at that time, so nobody was writing on the Twitter or the Facebook or any other source. There was nothing for Kashmiris. So when I came back, and this happened in 2000, and it was again a summer, so it came up in my mind, why every year the summer is so bloody for Kashmiris? It's a bloody summers for Kashmiri mothers, daughters, because woman is a worst victim of this oppression. They have to go through it because they are mothers, they are wives, they are daughters, they are sisters, you see. So when I saw this end, everything was our Azad Jammu and Kashmir government was going through election process, and in Pakistan, yes, that was the voices which I'm very thankful to Pakistan television as well, because Pakistan television has always been stood up with Kashmiris. They have raised their voices, and they invited everyone to. They have given this platform to the people. So then one day I was actually in my city, and I could see how the hue and cry is coming from the other side, because we still have relatives, we have friends on the other side. And we were just wanted to know, we wanted to get connected to them. There was no internet, there was no media, there was no news on the television. And we were just trying who is alive, who is dead. Gosh. And then it came into my mind, why it's only me sitting here, you see? Why is the other youth? If somebody is appearing, because if something happens, they gather it in the Lal Chowk for thousands of Kashmiris. So they put a pressure on the Indian government that we are united, hear our voice, and we are saying it clear and loud. But on the other hand, nothing was coming up yet.
All right,
and very quickly, because we have
and you've done a great job as well. But before we move forward, or probably ask you, the way to move forward, I would love to know the popular sentiment of the Kashmiris as well. Would you mind highlighting that?
Thank you very much.
But we're short of time, we have to do it.
This is the reason why Kashmir is not being issued, because of this popular sentiment. There is a Urdu couplet, "Main khatakta raha kaante ki tarah dile yazda mein." This is the reason, the popular sentiment of the Kashmiris. We have seen that when there is a cricket match between India and Pakistan, you see the celebrations. If Pakistan wins. If there is a Eid day, when Pakistan announced the Eid, Kashmiris celebrate Eid. And the Kashmiris, when they die, they are being wrapped in the Pakistani flags and are being buried. This is the popular sentiment. The people are on the streets with the flags of Pakistan. This is the reason that India is refusing the right to self-determination. India knows it very well. If there is a right to self-determination, the popular sentiment is for the Pakistan. People will vote for the Pakistan. I'm thankful to the Pakistan for their political, diplomatic and moral support, and this is the courage for the Kashmiris.
And we're always going to be there.
No, thank you so much for being here, and I really, truly, genuinely, we really hope that this does get resolved. And the way forward, we didn't get to talk about it in depth, but it's about unity, it's about power in numbers. And if we're all united against the atrocities that are happening against people, or the people who are weaker, then it's our duty to raise the voices.
And it's about empowering the people of Kashmir, ladies and gentlemen. It's about providing them their right to self-determination, and it is indeed a fundamental right. Well, if you want any other point within this concept or the context which we were discussing today, you can definitely write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of
Well This Morning,
on Twitter,
Well This Morning without a G,
on Daily Motion and YouTube,
Well This Morning,
and the repeat's going to be at
11:05 p.m. this evening. 11:05 p.m. this evening.
Till the next time, remember all of us and the Kashmiri brethren, especially in your prayers. Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good
morning. Thank you.